ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. I believe every lie that I ever told. Paid for every
You can tell everybody he is the man. He is the man. His name is Paul Tazewell, and he is now the first African-American male to ever win an Academy Award for Best Costume Design for his work on Wicked. We will talk in this hour, now that he joins us, about his amazing career and why his work is about more than just clothes now that he is here. Before I get to Paul, though, let me just give you some sound in case you missed it and did not hear his acceptance speech at the recent Academy Awards. Here's a taste.
This is absolutely astounding. Thank you, Academy, for this very significant. I'm the first black man to receive the Costume Design Award for my work on Wicked. I'm so proud of this. Thank you, Mom and Emma, so much. Thank you, everyone in the UK, for all of your beautiful work. I could not have done this without you. My Ozian muses, Cynthia and Ariana, I love you so much. All the other cast, thank you, thank you, thank you for trusting me with bringing your characters to life. This is everything. Thank you. Thank you, John, Mark, everyone. Thank you.
So you got to say, this is everything. I love that. Paul just went right at it. This is everything. Paul, first of all, congratulations and honor to have you on this program, sir. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Tavis. I'm amazing. I'm still floating. In the way that you heard my voice, I am still floating above the ground. Absolutely.
And I ain't mad at you. You should. You just go and float on. As the song says, float on, float on. just float on a little while. I ain't mad at you. Let me start this conversation. I'm glad we have the hour. There's a whole lot to cover about your amazing career, Paul. But let me just start with this. And I celebrate this. But when you got to that podium, to that microphone, it didn't take you, by my count, but about 7 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, to get to that point of acknowledging, with humility, with love, with respect and reverence, that you were the first African-American male to win the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. You went right at that, which suggests to me that clearly, number one, you were aware of it, but number two, more to the point, that you leaned into it. We live in an era now where there are a lot of black folk who are so caught up in what I would call the normative white gaze, and so many other black people caught up in the politics of the moment, that some of us are afraid to be authentically who God made us to be. And it was abundantly clear to me in that moment that wasn't you. You didn't back away from that thing. You leaned right into it. Tell me more about why you did that and about that particular moment in your speech.
Well, that is the honesty of who I am. I mean, that's just how I've walked through these 60 years of life, and I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of coming to where I have with this body, and facing the challenges I've had to face in getting here. So with every appearance that I make, with everything that I say, that comes up in conversation, and it is because I also want to inspire anyone out there who looks like me or otherwise and sees my life and the way that I live it and what I do as inspiration. I want to be a face for that, and so I think that is part of my responsibility in manifesting this gift that I've been given.
Yeah. It felt to me, I don't want to put too much on it, but when you, again, leaned into it the way you did so swiftly, it suggests to me that you understand that you are in so many ways part of a continuum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that's out there, and it was, Ruth Carter was the first Black person, the first Black woman to receive an Oscar for her work for Black Panther. And so to follow behind her, we're treading the same ground. We're creating the same path for other young people and other people to follow. And I think that's very important to take up space in that way.
Yep. When we come forward, there's a lot I want to talk to you about, and I can tell you this. I do want to reboot this conversation when we come forward with this notion of Black folk in the design space. Obviously, it's not lost on me. I have a really bright audience listening to you right now, literally from California to the Carolinas, all across the country, a bunch of bright people. And they understand that we have always been in these creative spaces. But to your point, with Ruth and now you, there's starting to be some respect put on y'all's work, some respect put on y'all's name. Again, in these design spaces and other creative spaces, which we have always occupied. And I'm curious as to what you think that is about, that in this moment, we're starting again to get some love for those persons who are in this particular lane of creativity when it comes to design. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the backstory to his career, how he got on this path. There's a great deal to talk about with this Academy Award winner, Paul Tazewell, who took home the prize this year for his work on Wicked as the first Black man now to win for Best Costume Design. Going to be a great hour with Paul Tazewell when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
A new day is on the horizon. Behind every great moment in history, there's a woman whose story went untold. This March on KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing those hidden narratives to light. Hear extraordinary stories of women who transformed science, politics, arts, and community. Women you've never heard of, but should know. Celebrating Women's History Month on KBLA Talk 1580, where every story matters.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
iZurvey is proven to slow GA progression.
iZurvey gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley in conversation with Paul Tazwell, now an Academy Award winner, took home the prize, the statue this year for Best Costume Design for Wicked, in case you just tuned in, which made him the first African-American male to win that high honor. And we are celebrating all things Paul Tazwell, and delighted to have him on this program in this hour. So, Paul, you were saying, and I was just following up moments ago about black people having always occupied these creative spaces, including design. But it appears that at least over the last few years, something is happening where black folk in particular are finally starting to get some love in this particular space. How do you read that, or am I putting too much on it?
You dropped out a little bit at the very end.
No, I was saying, how do you read that reality, or am I putting too much on it that we're starting to honor black folk in this particular creative space?
Absolutely not putting too much on it. I mean, I think that it's very true that I think that just as a community, how we see the entertainment industry, our focus tends to be on the celebrity. Mm-hmm. It tends to be on the actor and the director that takes up most of the media space. And to be involved with something like Wicked, it gave me the opportunity to really shine as a designer and to put my face to that as well. And I think that that's important because many people don't know that there are many careers that are what is in front of the camera, how to get someone dressed, make ideas about that, create ideas about that, be collaborating with the director in developing what those ideas are. And then as well, those people that are making the clothes, the costumes that are going on the actor. So they're realizing those costumes. So there's a whole world of imaginative creativity that's happening in order to get to the end result, which is what you see on screen. And for there are many people that are out there in the world that want to be creative in that way, more so than being an actor or a performer or a director. They actually are more interested in creating what a person looks like, and having that creativity expressed through costumes. So getting visibility for doing that is a major priority for me.
Yeah. We'll talk about how you got on this path a little bit later in this conversation. But to your point of a moment ago, that working on a project, as you put it, like Wicked, gave you a unique chance to shine. I think I know what you mean, given what Wicked is and given the costumes that we saw in the project. But unpack that statement for me, that working on a project like Wicked allowed you to shine in this lane.
Well, I think that this world of fantasy is normally occupied by people that are not of color, as far as designers, and even this story is specific to when you think about, this is a story about a person who is green, a person of color, and marginalized for that and vilified for that, and then transcending that spiritually and through empowerment, through self-empowerment. Mm-hmm. So it's a story that's speaking directly to an African American or a person of color, defensibility and point of view and story, and so that's why it resonates for me so much, and also why I feel that it's so powerful that it's being embraced globally, on many different levels. but then to be able to create a world that is not necessarily specific to my community, the look of my community. It is inclusive of that because I am the one generating these ideas, but it is not specifically that, and that helps to broaden how that is, embraced, I think. And it becomes a universal expression as opposed to something that can be very specific and enjoyed in that way.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge privilege to be put in in a position to create what that world is and how we see this story that has been in our lives for decades. When we think of the original Wizard of Oz book written by Frank L. Baum, going to the film that was created in 1939, starring Judy Garland, then into the many iterations like The Wiz, and still those same characters, and then opening up to Gregory Maguire's book, his novel of Wicked, and then moving on to Wicked the musical on Broadway. So there are many iterations of how we are telling this story, and now it's powerful to have a Black man be in the position of dictating what this visual world is going to be, at least as we see it through clothing, and how these characters are interpreted through their clothing. Having that be someone who looks like me, I think it resonates in a huge way.
Yeah.
And especially for somebody looking up for, a path to follow, definitely.
Yep.
But it also has spoken, it speaks of what my engagement and passion has been throughout these, many decades of doing this job.
Yep. You've said a couple of things now I want to give you a chance to unpack for me. Let me start with this. I take your point, and I just want to give you a chance to just to sit on it for a second here. And that is this notion of African Americans in the fantasy space. You were very clear about that point. I heard it. Mm-hmm. I know the audience heard it. So here's my broad question. I'm fantasizing, pardon the pun, as I even asked this question, Paul Tazewell, and that is what you think the impact would be of more Black creatives in the space of fantasy. And I ask that because so much what we see today, so much what Hollywood produces is about fantasy. And I'm just curious as to what you think our imprint in that space would look like. How might it change the game, so to speak, if there were more of us in the fantasy realm?
It makes it that much more rich to have that voice, to have that point of view, to tell the story. I mean, we saw that with Black Panther, and how that was embraced in such a huge way, and what with Ruth Carter's work, how that was embraced as well. And I think that it just to be able to transcend those story spaces that we have been relegated to, which has been as Americans, stories of great challenge and struggle and trauma, and and speaking to what it is and has been to be a Black person, a person of color in America. I think that those are very important stories to continue to tell, absolutely. And I wouldn't want to diminish any of that. But I also think that we should be talking about Black joy and how we create imagination, and that there is a necessity to focus on imagination, the power of imagination to transcend everyone's reality, humanity, and also to speak in allegory, which in many ways it might be an easier way of digesting a message that's very important. At least it's a different way, so that you can then find yourself in it in a way that feels more organic and doesn't put you off in a way that it's like, well, I'm not going to look at this because it's too painful to look at that. It's it gives you a way of experiencing what might be going on with an allegory, because it has it's dealing with real emotional challenges, but it is encapsulated in something that is beautiful and that feels nostalgic of a different place, and that is a place that you've never seen before. Like all of those things, all those elements coming together, and that was really, that's the big example for me was Wicked, and what I did with Wicked, because I think that it carries all of those things together.
Yeah. I should share with you that Paul Tazewell is going to be the commencement speaker, I am told, his alma mater, the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. I think in May, sometime in May during graduation season, they've invited him to be the commencement speaker at his alma mater. Again, the North Carolina School of the Arts. I know something about that, having been given that honor at my school some years ago. It's going to be a special moment, I can assure you, to go back to where you study and to have them honor you as they should in this way. So I'm celebrating you already as you head back to North Carolina in May. But I raise that as a way into. We'll get to in a moment what you intend to say to these students, broadly speaking. But I'm always fascinated, as this audience knows, by the backstory. So we jumped right in with your Academy Award. We jumped right in talking about Wicked. Let me slow this thing down now and ask you how you got on this path. How did costume design become your muse, Paul Tazewell?
Well, I grew up in Akron, Ohio. I am one of 4 men that my parents raised. I'm the third. And when I was growing up, I was asthmatic. And I didn't, physically, it wasn't as easy for me to be out there running around and doing a lot of activities. So, I give it up to my mother. She was creating ways of using my hands, teaching me how to draw and paint, and use my imagination in a very engaging way in order to create an activity for a child. I mean, that was, and then she also, she made culture both of my parents made culture very important. We all 4 of us learned to play the violin early. My grandmother used to teach piano. She had gone to Oberlin as a major in music back in the 20s. So, that idea, and she was also a painter as well. So that, the idea of culture was always very important. We all sang in the church choir, and, expressing ourselves that way was very important. Within my family. So, it makes sense that I would find a profession, or at least I knew that I would flourish in a profession that was more creative, much more so than sitting behind a desk. And it had just proven itself over and over again in everything that I was involved with, whether it was performing on stage or it was working adjacent to being on stage and designing costumes, which I ended up doing both for the same productions. When I was 16 years old, I played The Wiz on stage in our production of The Wiz, and I was also designing the costumes and making the costumes with gratefully with the help of my family for this big production, and. That was the first production that I had realized, full out. But it gave me, I guess, the confidence, to know that was one, that was what I wanted to do. 2, that I could fully realize something. I could create in my head what all those would be. And then it led to, me studying at North Carolina School of the Arts. And then at NYU for graduate school, and then entering into the profession of costume design, in 1990. And I've been doing the same profession ever since. It shifted and changed with what I've been doing, but it's always been me as I approach costume design.
Yeah. I love the story you just shared about being age 16 and not just starring in The Wiz, but actually with the support, as you said, of your family, designing the costumes for the characters in The Wiz. As I get older, although I prefer to use the phrase chronologically gifted, Paul, as I get more chronologically gifted, I look back on these moments in my life and the special nature of these stops along the journey. But to just think about it, I mean, you told the story so beautifully, I just kind of closed my eyes. I can imagine you as a 16-year-old in the Wiz and your family helping you make the costumes. It's I love the story of black people and I love the story of black family, but that's quite a story, man.
No, it's I know that I was very privileged to have the group. I mean, we're a middle class family, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that my family has always been filled with educators.
Yeah.
And also being expressive creatively has been very, very important. Even my dad, who was a research chemist for Firestone at the time, he also, had his creative hobbies as well. And, they folded us into that life expression.
Yeah.
And I feel very grateful that was the case.
I often wonder, and we'll talk about this when we come forward, as we delve more into the career trajectory of one Paul Tazewell, now Academy Award winner, first African-American male to receive the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. I've often wondered how our community, I'm talking about black folk now, is harmed by the lack of access to culture and the arts. We seem to have access to everything these days through our smart devices, but I still feel in so many ways that we are lacking a direct access to culture and the arts. And I wonder how our lives would be different. Certainly the lives of our children, our offspring would be different if they had that kind of direct access. And we live in a world where, in our school systems and elsewhere, you see these cuts perennially into cultural programs and arts programs. And I think there's a price that we pay for that, perhaps Paul Tazewell, and I will talk about that when we come forward. But there's a great deal more to cover with Paul Tazewell on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like to check your sunroof is closed first before driving through the car wash.
Whoa. Oh, no. Wait, whoa.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A federal judge blocked the Trump administration's attempt to deport Colombia student Mahmoud Khalil, who ICE claims has a revoked visa. Khalil, involved in anti-Israel protests, is legally in the U.S. with a green card. He is due in court Wednesday. Odell Beckham Jr. and comedian Drew Skier named in a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, accused of involvement in a 2018 sexual assault incident. Both are denying the allegations. The new LA DA, Nathan Hochman, opposes a new trial for the Menendez brothers and wants them to remain locked up unless they admit guilt for their parents' 1989 murder. He won't oppose a resentencing hearing, which could lead to their release. And there was no grand prize winner in Monday night's big Powerball drawing, pushing the jackpot up to $353 million. Tonight's Mega Millions drawing is worth $256 million. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
4 days ago, the Lakers were the talk of the NBA with an 8-game winning streak and projections as a legitimate contender for the Western Conference title. The Lakers have lost 2 in a row after losing at Brooklyn Monday night, 111-108. Injuries are becoming a major issue. The Lakers did not have 4 players who have started games this season, including LeBron, who is out for 2 weeks with a groin injury. Injuries to Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith are showing how vulnerable the Lakers can be if they're not healthy. The Clippers are in New Orleans tonight to start a 3-game trip. The Clippers are going for their 4th straight win. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts has a new contract. The Dodgers gave the 52-year-old Roberts a 4-year extension worth $32.4 million. Roberts and the Angels' Ron Washington are the only 2 black managers in Major League Baseball. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon Fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record, unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're just tuning in, you missed a pretty amazing story told by our guest a moment ago of being 16 years of age and starring in The Wiz, but also making the costumes with the support of his family, designing and making the costumes for those who appeared alongside him in The Wiz. That was at age 16 in Akron, Ohio. And now, all these years later, he is the first African-American male to win the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. His name is Paul Tazewell. You all saw him bounce up on that stage just a couple weeks ago, and I haven't even got to his outfit. I'm curious as to how he designed. You can't be a costume designer and not be the cleanest person in the room, so you knew he was going to be clean that night. He is, after all, again, a costume designer. We'll talk about the outfit that he had on that night in a moment, but here now some sound of Paul Tazewell talking about his design process for Wicked, for which he won the award, working, of course, alongside that is Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
I wanted to bring my own voice to the world of Wicked, embodied by Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda. Their interpretation of who these characters are was always going to be new and different and exciting.
Glinda's fashion story is so much fun.
Her interpretation of what that character is and her spirit, her personality, I put them all in a pot and stirred it up, and out came Glinda.
For the first bubble dress, we thought we should go pink. I wish you could touch these clothes. There's just all of this pink and fluff. I nearly had a heart attack. Everything was so thoughtful.
The dressmaker for Glinda, he went about approaching it from the Fibonacci spiral and creating shapes, using that as a springboard and then evolving that into the dress that we have now. For Glinda, it's much more about curves and softness and femininity. They're kind of rainbow tones. Thinking about the world of Elphaba, I was looking at a lot of the textures of mushrooms and fungus in nature and the different kinds of patterns.
Paul created this beautiful pleated dress that felt like velvet with an underlayer of purple and lace.
For her Wicked look, it's made of micro-pleated fabric that's been laid on to a base, and it creates this undulation.
With the hat, it becomes what we end up knowing as the Wicked Witch.
Every single costume in this movie is a piece of art.
This is the reason I'm here, to create new iconic images of who these characters are. And that, for me, has been the greatest joy.
That's Paul Tazewell talking about his greatest joy of working on Wicked, and for that, of course, received the Academy Award once again. In case you just tuned in, making him the first African-American male to be so honored. Ruth Carter won that award a few years earlier for Black Panther, but it's a beautiful thing to see these brothers and sisters being so regarded for their work in the costume design space. So that's Paul again talking about what he did for Wicked. I want to talk very briefly here, Paul, about what you had on the night of the big show. Tell you about that outfit, brother. 'Cause you were clean as a Sunday chitlin, man.
Oh, Chris. I mean, I had Ingo to have to stand up to. So I mean, he's created quite a fashion path. So just being seen, I mean, as well, being a costume designer, as you were talking about, I always want to present myself in a way that, feels confident and, in respect to what I actually am doing, which is dressing actors to become characters. So with that,
hey, Paul, it just happens sometimes. Your phone is starting. Yeah, Miles, handle that for me. We get halfway through the conversation, just over halfway, and all of a sudden the phone line starts to garble up on you, and we don't want that because what's the point of having him on if you can't hear what he's saying? And I am curious to hear what he has to say to the additional questions I have for the rest of this hour. Again, I'm Tavis Smiley. Our guest is Paul Tazewell, winner of the Academy Award this year for costume design for Best Costume Design for his work on Wicked. Paul's going to call us right back and try to make this thing a little bit, make the audio a little better for you. But I was saying a moment ago that I am concerned, and I want to get Paul's take on this, about the fact that when it comes to access to culture and the arts, we can no longer rely on our school systems. I mean, that's where I, I'm sure many of you can attest. That's where so many of us, at least, had some exposure to culture, some exposure to the arts. Paul was fortunate, as many of you listening, no doubt, were fortunate to grow up in families, grow up in homes where you were exposed to culture and the arts. I didn't get that. I love my parents, but culture and the arts was not something I was exposed to in my home. But it was something that I had some access to in school, and of course I did my own research to sort of expand my worldview. But I often wonder how much better off we might be if we had the greater access to culture and the arts. Perhaps we'll get to that a little bit later. All right, Paul, let's try this again. This was getting too good for your phone all of a sudden start to act up on me. Tell me once again about this outfit you had on the big show, the Academy Awards.
I chose to wear Dolce & Gabbana, and they created a bespoke tuxedo that was just the right silhouette for me, and they also paired it with a white silk shirt with a cravat, and then I had Fred Leighton brooch at my neck, and brooches have, you can see it represented in many different ways on many of the men on the red carpet, but they've become a desirable accessory. So Fred Leighton was kind enough to offer up jewelry for me as well. So it was really exciting.
Yeah.
I felt great, and really appreciated being there and representing Dolce & Gabbana.
Since you went there, let me follow you. I have not as yet acquired my own, but I have noticed, as you just suggested, that brooches are becoming a nice accent for all kinds of men. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think that, fashion in general, it's continued to become more and more expressive.
Right.
For people, of all gender. But for men especially, to move into a space where we feel confident enough and, to be more expressive with our clothing. I mean, I would say in the 1970s, that was a time when, many black men would wear things that were, made more of a fashion statement. And, it shifted, into the hip hop era and street clothing. And, that was very specific, definitely. And then also some of the things that Dapper Dan was doing. But, I think that we're now going into a space where there's just men are being more courageous about how they're putting themselves out there in fashion and being embraced for it. And I think that's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. And it's the language that I speak. So I think it's really wonderful.
We started this conversation acknowledging and celebrating, as we have a number of times in this dialogue, that Paul Tazewell made history on the evening of the Academy Awards 2025 when he was awarded the Academy Award, earned the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. And it's always the case when you see somebody black in a moment like that making history, you think that happened overnight. Well, it didn't. He's been doing this for decades now. And he's had some other high moments in his career, including working on a little Broadway show called Hamilton. You might have heard of it. a little project called Hamilton, for which he won the Tony Award back in 2016 for costume design. We'll talk about working on that project. I literally just saw Leslie Odom Jr. the other night. We hadn't seen him for a while and gave that brother a big hug. But obviously Hamilton has become iconic. So it wasn't just the Academy Award for Wicked. He's been doing this for a good while now. We'll talk about his work on Hamilton when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Do you enjoy fatty foods, sweets, and alcohol? Who doesn't? Unfortunately, all those things put a lot of pressure on our liver. That's why pharmacist, best-selling author, and nutritional expert Sherry Torkos recommends Active Liver from New Nordic.
The liver is an incredible organ. It works nonstop to process toxins and chemicals from our food and drinks, medications we take, and even environmental exposures. As a health expert, I'm often asked how to support the liver's natural detoxification process and offset the effects of fatty foods, sugar, and alcohol. I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. This gentle plant-based supplement is an effective way to support your liver's vital functions as well as your energy and overall well-being.
With its powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, Active Liver is the perfect way to keep your liver healthy and you feeling your best. Active Liver is available in both a delicious gummy or tablet. You can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Many of the 39 BLM grassroots chapters across the nation are participating in this honoring of the memory of Breonna Taylor on the anniversary of her death. This BLMLA event is taking place on Sunday, March 16th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Norman Houston Park, 4800 South La Brea in Los Angeles, the park at the summit. For special parking options and more information, visit blmla.org or go to BLM Los Angeles on Instagram. Say her name, Breonna Taylor, and join us in loving on Black women. Happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Academy Award winner Paul Tazewell, who I'm delighted to have on in this hour. Paul, take me back to Hamilton. I don't need to color the question much more than that, but the experience of working again on another iconic project.
That was one that with theater it will never be topped.
Yeah.
I think that the piece itself, that amazing cast, and how all of them have gone on to really soar within the industry. You're mentioning Leslie, my heart. An amazing talent, amazing man. Lynn as well, Renee Goldsberry. It's just on and on. And I think that they have brought so much joy to the world overall. It's such a privilege to have been the one to dress them for that and conceive of how we would see them and represent the creators of our country, and then also how we would reinterpret that. So that was a huge privilege for me. I'll always remember that.
No, it is. To your point, I've thought about this often, and I've discussed it with Leslie and other members of that cast, David and others. It is amazing to see a project, and you look at the people who are in the cast, and years go by, and you see so many of them, Miss Dubose, Ariana Dubose, and others. You just see these folks just blowing up. I mean, and the fact that they were all in this one same production, and then everybody seems to have just elevated their careers in so many different ways. It's a beautiful thing to behold, particularly when those persons happen to be persons of color, which obviously means a great deal to me and a great deal to you. But to your point, it's just a beautiful thing to watch how their careers have just soared in so many different ways. How to your point about theater, and nothing sort of tops that. At this stage in your career, you're a Tony winner, you're an Academy Award winner, so you're halfway to EGOT status, as they say. So you're halfway to EGOT now, 50% there. How are you going about? Let me just ask this question. I'm looking at my clock. Let me ask the question, and it won't be fair to give you 20 seconds to respond. Let me ask it when we come forward in our remaining moments with Paul Tazewell. I'll let him answer. So he's halfway to an EGOT. And I'm curious as to, at this point, when you're a Tony winner and you're an Academy Award winner, what does that do for your career? I ain't asking him to tell you how much money he's making, but what does that do for your career when you win these prestigious awards? And what does that do for the choices that you have placed in front of you? How does one go about making choices when you've done Wicked and won an Academy Award? You've done Hamilton and won a Tony. At this phase of your career, how do you go about making choices for what happens next? We'll put that question to Paul Tazewell when we come forward in our remaining moments with him on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Paul Tazewell as our guest for the next 4 minutes here before we wrap this conversation and wrap today's show. So, Paul, I mentioned a moment ago that you got a lot of hardware, brother, you've been taking home over the last few years. How does that impact the career, broadly speaking, take it as you will, and how does that impact the choices that you make at this point in your career?
Right. Well, Tavis, I didn't want to butt into what you were saying. I actually am 3/4 of the way to an EGOT.
What did I miss? What did I miss?
I won the Emmy for The Wiz Live that was done for NBC.
With Kenny Leon. With Kenny.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. I forgot. My bad.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let me apologize. That's a big deal. I said 50%. No, he's 75%. That's a big deal. When you're that close to EGOT status, I never ever want to shorten you. So please forgive me that I overlooked that, because Kenny is a dear friend of mine, and I love that production, and I loved your work on it. So you're right. He is 3/4 of the way to EGOT status. Please forgive me, sir. I am bowing down. I'm bending the knee right now. I am bending the knee right now, sir.
Not at all. Not at all. No, it's all beautiful.
Yeah.
Somebody out there needs to, ask me to do read a book or something, something that that can be recorded.
Get you a Grammy, exactly. Yeah.
It has to be a good book, though. No, it's just to answer your question, it is a huge, it's a privilege, and then because of that, a responsibility.
Right.
To be the face that represents what we bring to the event of performance, of entertainment, and to make noise in a positive way, for all things. Because I think that what I do is speak about humanity, to other humans, and hopefully touch hearts and change lives by what I do. And it works in conjunction with other people. Absolutely, it's collaborated with the director and with the actors. But I think that it is important work of telling stories in order to affect minds and hearts.
Yeah. As somebody once said, Paul Tazewell, I'm rooting for everybody black. I'm rooting for everybody black. And that includes one Paul Tazewell, who is doing some amazing work. And when he corrected me a moment ago, I'm so glad he said that, because he could have just stayed quiet and they would have told me that after the show went off the air. I'm so glad he corrected me on the air in my oversight in that regard. Why? Because it means something when black people occupy spaces that we have heretofore been left out of. And when we get in those spaces, we just show out. And we prove to them what we are capable of doing. And there is no evidence like EGOT status. And to have won an Emmy Award for The Wiz Live, to have won a Tony Award for Hamilton, to have won the Academy Award for Wicked, that's a big deal. And so I never, ever want to short anybody their propers when they've worked as hard as Paul Tazewell has worked and continues to work and been so honored in this regard. So please forgive me, sir. I will never make that mistake again. But I'm honored to have had you on this program for the hour. And as I said earlier, we are celebrating you in all that you have done and will do in the months and years to come. So thank you for this hour that you've honored us with. And I appreciate you, sir, and look forward to doing it again somewhere down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tavis, and I appreciate our conversation. It was really beautiful.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed the time. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with